we got a nice bit of subscribers. It'd be like 5 people watching. You know what I'm saying? That's different. Yeah,
Zahar, come here.
like 15 got in.
15?
Yeah.
You got some money?
Huh?
How much?
1,500.
1,500?
You don't know?
Yeah.
Where was it? In your pocket?
1,500?
Where was it at?
Whoa! You done break
Go get it.
You get paid
Let me
for
see
that?
it. Hurry up. Go get it.
What? I thought you two
No, I
got
did
paid
this
for
last
that. You're not
Well, that's
Go
not
get it.
a
I'm
lot.
not gonna take your money. I just want to see
That's
if
not
you
a
got
lot
it.
of
Go get it.
subs.
bro.
Yeah,
Go look. Go look and see if it's in there.
Bro, it probably is to us because, like,
you get paid when you start to have, you know what I'm saying, like
Just go
500,000
look and see. You
subs
come
and
back
all
and tell
that.
me like, yeah, my money in my bag.
how much they
Share,
paid?
bro.
I don't know. I ain't in their business. They gotta work out their own deal. But I don't get paid for none of it.
What if you get to that point? Like, you get 500,000 and you get paid?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be crazy.
Help me get 500,000. Let's figure it out.
I'll get you right now.
You gotta get 500,000.
I close this case right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
That's what
love
they
them
said,
pillows and
1.5.
blankets, bro.
1.51K.
What you eating, scrub?
Who got 1 point? Sabbath peace.
7 piece.
It's another opportunity for us to come together and hear and learn of the word of truth that is given to us by the Most High God. All honor goes to the Father through the Son, whose name is Yahushua. In him lies the only hope for salvation. We know that it is obtained by grace through faith, not of works, lest anyone should boast, and given freely as a gift to all who obey him. We understand that if you do not obey him, it is made manifest and made obvious that you do not believe. In this state, you should expect no good thing from the Most High. However, anything that you do get, whether it be a gift of tongues, a gift of prophecy, or any supernatural experience that you may have, it can and it will be used against you in the day of judgment. With that said, peace to the saints that are in the room, to the saints that couldn't make it, to the saints watching on the camera, to the saints in the chat, but no peace to the wicked. The only thing we say to them is repent that they might live. We're a little late. We about to get right through it. You know what I'm talking about? This is 1 Peter chapter 1. 1 Peter chapter 1. Last week we read through what? Timothy?
Yes.
Yeah, I think last week we read through Timothy. Sister Pam stayed up for it. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate Sister Pam. Sister Pam said, I'm staying up for it. All right. Sister Pam, do you sleep? I got to make sure. You might need to get you a little sleep.
Today tonight.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you and y'all, This is 1 Peter chapter 1. 1 Peter, last time we called 1 Timothy, he is reading 2 Timothy. You know what I'm saying? This is 1 Peter chapter 1. Can y'all just focus and pay attention for once? Goodness gracious. Look, you just woke up ready to go right back to sleep.
That boy had a long day. He got a job. Full time.
Don't do nothing.
I just got my.
Babe, please, Uncle, can I come back to you? Just please, can you? But just please, I'll do anything, please. And then go right to sleep. Then wake up and go right back to sleep. Wake up, eat, go back to sleep. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Before you go to sleep, it makes it harder to go to sleep.
It's 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. What does the book say?
Peter, an apostle of Yahushua, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father, through sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of Yahushua.
So he's elect according to what?
According to the According to the sanctification.
Go back. He said elect according to what?
According to the foreknowledge of God.
Right? The foreknowledge of God. What is that? What does that mean?
You already know.
Most High God already knows the decisions that we gonna make before. Look, before he set this thing in motion, before he created the heavens and the earth, before he did anything, he knew exactly how it was gonna play out. Once he pressed the button, he knew how it was gonna end. Every decision that all of us were gonna make, he already knew. So when it says elect, that means selected, right? Elect means that he chose us. So he chose us based on his foreknowledge. In other words, he chose us based on what he knew we were going to do. Right? We don't have to get it, but you remember in Genesis, he was talking about Abraham, and he asked a question. He said, should I share what is to come with Abraham? And he says, because I know that he's going to teach his descendants to obey me and to keep my commandments. He already knew that about Abraham. So therefore, he chose Abraham based off of what he already knew he was going to do. I said this is an important point because people start getting confused. People will start saying, oh, you know what? God chose us. Therefore, once saved, always saved. Right? Meaning that if you say, God, I believe you and I want you to be my Lord and Savior, you think by saying that, it ain't nothing that you could do to make it that so that you won't get into the kingdom, or in their mind that you won't go to heaven. Right? But that's not true. That's not how this thing works. It always comes down to the decisions that you make. So if I make decisions that are consistent with someone who goes into the kingdom, right, according to the book, which we get from Galatians 5, Ephesians 5, 1 Corinthians 6, Mark 7, and Revelation chapter 22. Those are 5. That's how we know what we need to turn away from, right? If my behavior is consistent with that, then I can say, okay, well, I can enter into the kingdom. If it's not, then I have to say, I'm not behaving like somebody who's elect of God. Now, we don't know, right? We don't know who God gonna choose or not, but God knows, right? He knows everybody who's gonna end up where they are. So what we're trying to do is prove it. Our job is to prove to ourselves that we are selected by God. How do you prove that? You obey, right? Keep going. Watch this.
Blessed be the God and Father of our Master Yahushua, which according to his abundant mercy has begotten us again unto a lively hope by the resurrection of Yahushua the Messiah from the dead, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled, and that fades not away, reserved in heaven for you.
Oh, that was yours?
Yeah. Who are kept by the
Oh,
power of
yeah. I
God.
was like, look at my boy being proactive. You know what I'm saying? I should have known better. Raggedy darn boy. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was like, oh, I know my dad gonna need some water. Go on down there and give me some darn water. Y'all be ashamed of yourself.
Who are kept by the power of God through faith unto salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time,
Uh-huh.
wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, you are in heaviness through manifold temptations, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahushua the Messiah, whom having not seen ye love, in whom though now ye see him not, yet believing ye rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls, of which salvation of the prophets have inquired and searched diligently, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you.
He talking about the prophets. As the prophets were prophesying, they were like, what did I just say and what does it mean? How is this gonna play out? Right? He's asked the prophets used to ask the question. The Most High God would give what the book is called dark sayings. The Most High God would give mysterious prophecies to the prophets. So they would say something like, although you are, you know what I'm saying, although your sins are as a filthy rag, Yah will make you clean again. Right? And so they hear that and they looking like, all right, cool. But is he gonna make everybody clean? Because I just prophesied last week that this nation is going, you know what I'm saying, be destroyed. This nation gonna be destroyed and not gonna see God and this, that, and other. So they trying to figure out like, how is this thing gonna work out? Like, how, you know what I'm saying? How is it? What's the mechanism? How does it work? You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? They trying to figure out how does it work. So this is what Peter is talking about. He is like, it's been revealed to us salvation. We've learned how Yahushua came to us and explained how it's gonna work. He said, look, I'm the Messiah. I'ma die. Once I die for y'all. I own y'all now. Now, if you obey me, you can get into the kingdom. That is the mechanism. That's how it works, right? The prophets used to try to figure it out, and they were like searching and going through and reading other prophets and talking to other prophets, but they haven't been able to figure it out. So watch what he say next.
Of which salvation the prophets have inquired and searched diligently, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you, searching what manner of time the spirit of the Messiah which was in them did signify, when it testified beforehand the sufferings of the Messiah, and the glory that should follow.
Mm-hmm.
Unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them that have preached the gospel unto you with the Holy Spirit, sent down from heaven, which things the angels desire to look into.
Right. So he's saying the things that the prophets prophesied about, they were trying to understand it and make sense of it. He's saying those same things that they was trying to figure out and make sense of, they're the prophets. Y'all, I just want y'all to understand it. The Most High God gave a message. Imagine somebody saying something like, look, DJ, when I say this to you, you have to repeat it. And I say something. And then DJ repeat it. And DJ, look, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just repeating what Uncle Phil told me to say. But then DJ is like, I wonder what he meant when he told me to say that. Right? That's how the prophets were. They repeating what God want them to say, but they don't really know what it all means. So they trying to figure it out like, what is it? How is this going to play out? How is it going to work? So Peter is telling us now these things that they were trying to figure out came to us. And now it's being reported to the rest of the people. Right? So it came to Peter. Peter saw it with his own eyes. And now he's reporting it to the rest of the people. That's how we end up getting the Gospels. Because they're telling us what they saw and what they witnessed and what they learned. Right? And from that, we read it now every week. Right? Every day. And we read it. And now we can start to make sense of what needs to happen. These are the things that we have are what the prophets who had a message from the Most High God. This is what they were looking for. Right? This is like they were looking for the clarity that we have today. Right? And then Peter is going to tell you as he's watch what he say.
Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua. As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to former lusts in your ignorance, but as he which hath caused you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation. Because it is written, Be ye holy, for I am holy. And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of persons judges according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. For as much as you know that ye were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold from your vain conversation received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of the Messiah, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who verily was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you, who by him do believe in God that raised him up from the dead and gave him glory, that your faith and hope might be in God. Seeing ye have purified your souls in obeying the truth through the Spirit unto unfeigned love of the brethren, see that you love one another with a pure heart fervently, being born again not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible by the word of God, which lives and abides forever. For all flesh is as grass, and all the glory of man as the flower of grass. The grass wherewith and the flower thereof falls away. The grass withereth and the flower falls away, but the word of the master, the word of Yahuwah, endures forever. As this is the word which by the gospel is preached unto you.
It's chapter 2. Watch this.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile, and hypocrisies, and envies, and all evil speaking, as newborn babies desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. If so be ye have tasted that the master is gracious, to whom coming as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God and precious. Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Yahushua.
Right? He called us a holy priesthood. Where did we first hear about that?
Moses.
Right? Didn't Moses call us a holy priesthood? Right? Oh, we got real quick. Grab Exodus chapter 19. This is Exodus chapter 19, verse 1. It's Exodus chapter 19, verse 1.
In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up to God, and went unto God, and Yahuwah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me
He
above
said,
all
you should
people.
be what?
A peculiar treasure unto me above all people.
And what else?
For all the earth is mine, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation.
Right? A kingdom of priests. Right? Now let's go back to see what Peter called us. Right? A kingdom of priests, a peculiar people, and a kingdom of priests. This is 1 Peter chapter 2. What verse?
Verse 5.
It's 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5. So Moses called us a kingdom of priests. Watch this.
Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood, to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Yahushua.
Right? A holy priesthood is what he called us. Watch this. Keep going, though.
Wherefore also it is contained in the scripture, Behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, and he that believed on him shall not be confounded. Unto you, therefore, which believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner. And
He talking about Yahushua. So he said, some people reject Yahushua. Therefore, to them, he's a stone that's been rejected. Right? And other people, precious. Right? So the people that accept Yahushua, he's a precious stone. Right? Keep going. Watch this.
and a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, even unto them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood.
A what?
A royal priesthood.
He said, you are a chosen generation. Right? That's like a peculiar people. And then he said, a royal priesthood. That's a kingdom, right? Royal kingdom of priests. Right? So he just quoting what Moses, he's just repeating what Moses is talking about. Right? Keep going.
A holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but are now the people of God, which has not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. Dearly beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may be your good works, which they shall behold. Glorify God in the day of visitation. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be to the king as supreme.
So he says, submit yourself to every ordinance of man for Yahuwah's sake. So what he's saying is, he's saying basically submit yourself to the laws, right? So if you go to New York and New York got certain laws, then you need to obey the laws when you go to New York. And if you go to Canada and they got different laws, then you need to obey the laws that's in Canada, right? So he's saying wherever you at, submit yourselves to that law, right, for the sake of Yahuwah. So when you do something for the sake of Yahuwah, does that mean you break Yahuwah's laws? You break his commandments? No. Right? At all times, we got to keep what Yahuwah has required of us, which is everything that Yahushua has required of us. Right? That's always something that we have to do. But then within that, we also have to obey the laws of the land, as they say. Keep going.
Or unto governors as to them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness.
Right? So
He's
saying don't try to act like, oh, well, I serve God and I'm free from all the world. I'm free from all that. And use that as a way to be malicious towards people. Right? So he's saying, no, if you got a governor, don't you know the governor puts that governor in place? Same thing with us as a president. If you got a president, don't you know that the Most High God put Obama in place? He put Biden in place. He put Trump in place 2 times. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's what he did. The Most High God did that. The Most High God put the president of Ukraine in place. The Most High God put the president of Russia in place. He put the prime minister of Spain in place, right? The Most High God did all this stuff. So he said, like, don't you know? So don't use your freedom to be like malicious towards people, right? Who we got? Grab Esther chapter 10 for me. Because sometimes people forget. We be looking at it and we look at it like fight the power, which is cool. Because sometimes the power be out of line. And sometimes you should resist the power. But we've never been a people that's disrespectful to leadership. Not the best of us. Right? The men of God that came before us, the men of God that we read in this book, they was never, even in times of our captivity, we never looked at the kings that were the kings of our captivity. We never looked at them with malice. We never looked at them like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I ain't gonna mess with you. Right now, if somebody go take a picture with with Trump, they're gonna call him an Uncle Tom. They're gonna call him a traitor. Right? They gonna say, "Oh, you just a black man who want to be like the white man."
Actually, Uncle Tom wasn't the traitor in that story. They say it was Sambo.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't read it, but yeah, I heard that. Right? They gonna call you a traitor. They gonna say that you are not interested in the interests of your people if you too friendly with the power structure that's oppressing you. Right? And honestly, on the surface, that makes sense. But I want us to think deeper than the surface. I want us to look at examples. What does it look like for a man of God who we know is interested in the conditions of his people? This is Esther chapter 10. Give me verse 1.
And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land, upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus.
He was what?
Next unto King Ahasuerus.
Who was King Ahasuerus?
The king of Persia.
He was the king of the whole thing while we were in captivity. And guess who stood next to him? Mordecai. If y'all remember who Mordecai is anybody gonna say Mordecai wasn't interested in the success of our people? You don't remember Haman? Remember when Haman set up a plot to kill every one of our people? He wanted to kill every one of them in all the territories. Right? They cast lots. It was like rolling dice. They rolled dice. They picked the month and the day that it was gonna happen. And they set the day, and for that day, it was going to be legal to kill. Y'all ever heard of the movie The Purge? It was going to be just like The Purge, except it was only legal to kill our people, Hebrews. They set up a day to kill all Hebrews until Mordecai came and convinced Esther to have that change. Mordecai cared about his people. He fasted. He was in sackcloth and ashes. He was praying. He was trying to figure it out. And then he did it. And guess who he stood? Guess who was the king that was about to let all this go down? King Ahasuerus. And guess who Mordecai stood next to after it got turned around? King Ahasuerus. Are we going to look at Mordecai and be like, nah, man, see, nah, you don't care nothing about the interests of your people. You know what I'm saying? You out here cutting deals with the white man. Right? We got to think deeper than that because we don't have those examples. Right? Keep going. Grab Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 2, give me verse 1. I just want to show y'all a couple examples of men of God, solidified men of God who stood next to the oppressor. And the sister asked, she said, is that like when Yah hardened Pharaoh's heart when it comes to the Most High God putting leadership in power? And yeah, Yah told Pharaoh, and I think it was Exodus, he told Pharaoh, for this purpose, you know what I'm saying? For this purpose, I lifted you up. So the Most High God made him the greatest king at the time simply so that he can take him down. Right? It was for that purpose. This is Nehemiah chapter 2. Give me verse 1.
And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes the king, that wine was before him, and I took up the wine and gave it to the king. Now I had not been before time sad in his presence. Wherefore the king said unto me, Why is thy countenance sad, seeing that you are not sick?
No, this is right hand man. This is servant. Right? He looked like, man, I don't even try to act sad in front of his people is in captivity. Right? But his mindset is, I don't want to look sad in front of the king. Is he an Uncle Tom? Watch this.
This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very sore afraid, and said unto the king, let the king live forever. Why should not my countenance be sad when the city of the place of my fathers' sepulchres lies waste, and the gates thereof are consumed with fire? Then the king said unto me, For what dost thou make request? So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said unto the king, If it please the king, and if thy servant have found favor in thy sight, that thou wouldst send me unto Judah, unto the city of my fathers' sepulchres, that I may build it.
Right? And the king let him go. Right? The king gave him permission. He didn't fight. He didn't steal away. He didn't say, I quit. I'm protesting. I never serve the king as long as my people is this, that, and other. I'm not saying there's never a place for it. I'm just saying just because a person is not doing that, when they serve God and they uphold our principles, it still can look away. We have examples of men of God who stood next to power, the same power that was oppressing our people. And through that, through respect and through honor, turn the whole situation around. But our people don't see that as an opportunity. Again, we look at that person and we look at them like, nah, man, you weak. Nah, man, you turning on your people. Nah, man, you're Uncle Tom. All that stuff is silly, boy. These boys don't know what they talking about. Let's look at another one. This is Daniel. Daniel chapter 6, verse 18. It's Daniel chapter 6, verse 18. Is a lot of the Black Panthers, a lot of the Nation of Islam was looking at Martin Luther King, and just because he took meetings with some of these boys,
No, sit down, man. You waiting?
just because he took meetings and tried to, you know what I'm saying, like establish laws, you know what I'm saying? They looked at him like, he a traitor. Nah, these white folks are spinning them around. Not saying they wasn't now. Don't get me wrong. They probably was. They was spinning them around. But nevertheless, right, we looked at them away simply for doing that. If you have a man of God who upholds the principles of the book, right, we have examples showing that men like that show respect onto the kings, even when the kings is oppressing them. This is Daniel. This is Daniel chapter 6. Give me verse 18.
Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he had came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake king spake and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom you serve continually able to deliver you from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever.
O king, what?
Live forever.
O king, what?
Live forever.
He told a human being king, I hope you live forever. That's respect. This is after the king threw him in the den of lions so that Daniel could be killed. Now, of course, he had compassion on Daniel. He felt like he had to do that because it was an agreement and it was honorable to his law because he made agreement and Daniel broke that law in terms of integrity. I have to follow through, right? I have to follow. So that's how he felt. He felt like his hands were tied and he had to do that. So it's not like he was trying to be malicious towards Daniel or he hated Daniel or nothing like that. But nevertheless, this is something that most people nowadays will look at and be like, he's just trying to kill you. Why would you tell him to live forever? Forget him. He the op. Right? But that's not his mindset. His mindset is, yeah, no, live forever. I'm with you because he's showing respect. Right? This is what Peter is talking about. Peter is trying to give us advice and he's trying to tell us, listen, when you out here living, don't be out here being disrespectful to leadership, disrespectful to kings, disrespectful to governors, to presidents. There's no point in it. I don't care how much these people tell you not to like Trump. I don't care how much I didn't like Biden. That don't mean we disrespect the leadership. You always show honor. If Biden walk up to me right now, as silly as I think he is, what do you think I'm gonna say?
Hello,
Other than,
hello, Mr. President.
hello, Mr. President, let me shake your darn hand. If you got some time, I got to talk to you about a few things. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put like Nehemiah. I'm trying not to be sad around you. You know what I'm saying? Shed a little gangster tear. You know what I'm saying? Trying not to be sad around. I'm going to hope Biden asks me what's wrong. And you ain't seen the conditions of my people. Some of your laws that you put them. You know what I'm saying? You the one that costs. We ought to want to have a conversation with these people. Right? Grab, go back in Peter. Where we at? First Peter what?
1 Peter
2 what?
2:16.
It's 1 Peter chapter 2. Give me verse 16. 1 Peter chapter 2, give me verse 16. Watch what the book say.
As free and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God.
Mm-hmm.
Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward.
Right? So look, servants, which is talking about slaves, he's saying if you a slave, be subject to your master. In other words, do what your master tell you to do. Right? So when we look at that now, think of it as like a boss. So everything used to be different in ancient times, right? In ancient times, you didn't have like a big bank that employed a whole bunch of people. So it's like if you wanted a job in ancient times, you couldn't walk to McDonald's and be like, yo, let me put in an application here. It wasn't no McDonald's, right? If in ancient times, if you was hungry, how did you eat?
You have to go work the field.
You had to go work your own field, or you had to go work somebody else's field, right? If you wanted to eat, you went to a neighbor's house if you didn't have it. You either had a field or you didn't have a field. So that means you went to a neighbor who was selling it, right? Everybody had their own fields. Everybody had their own yards. Everybody had their own land. And anybody who didn't have it, you had to go to one of those people and be like, yo, can I get some of this off of you? It was an exchange. So then the economy was set up as in, well, I got a whole lot of land and I only got 2 kids. So I got more land than I have children. So that means I need help building this land. So guess what's going to happen? Right? When Mattaniah, when he ain't got no land, Mattaniah going to come to my house and he going to make a deal with me. And you know what he going to say? If you let me live here, I will serve you. And so then Mattaniah gets to come, he gets to eat. All he has to do is work my land for me. So he works the land, he gets to eat. What does that do for Mattaniah? Mattaniah learns how to work land. So now Mattaniah, he gets to live there. He collects his wealth, right? He turns it, he learns how to work land. Now Mattaniah got enough money to go get his own land. So he go buys a plot of land and he works the land. Now he knows how to work it because he worked with me, right? And now Mattaniah say, hey, you young kid, you come work with me. You do this for about 6 years. You know what I'm saying? I hit you off with this when you go off. And now you can go get your own land. And so it was like each one teach one, right? They would be almost like, it would be like an apprenticeship, right? So they would get to live with us for 7 years. Now, at some point, sometimes we didn't want our servants to leave. Or sometimes our servants didn't want us to want to leave. But every 7 years, our law said we had to release them unless they decided they wanted to stay. Right? That would be the only exception. Our servant could be like, no, I love it here. I'm not trying to go off and do my own thing. I can stay here. But look at it as an apprenticeship. Right? It's some of our people that's in Africa right now that still have this same economy set up. Right? If you look up Igbo people in Africa, they still have this same economy set up where they work, they have an apprenticeship, they learn how to do it, then they always send them off with gifts. They go get their own, they pass it along to the next younger group, and they do it. And by generation and generation, everybody learn how to work the land or how to do whatever it is they're doing. Right? That's how we did. So that when we think of slave, that was a servant. Right? That is what a servant looked like. It's just somebody who helping you out. They're working for you in your land. But it wasn't like I clock in for 8 hours and I go home. It's working for like I live here. Right? When I'm your servant, like I live here. I'm like a butler. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm like an extra hand in the yard. or whatever it is, but I live here. This is my full-time thing. I eat your food. We all eat together. We all in this thing together, right? So I want to make sure y'all understand the context in which he's saying servants obey your masters, right? Because slavery came, and a lot of people are trying to make it look like, see, the white man put this in here to control slaves. While it is true that a lot of these American white people did use this, and they cherry picked it out, and they say, look, y'all some slaves, make sure, look, even the Bible says you better obey your master. That part is true. They did use this to try to control slaves, but that wasn't written for that, right? Christians take stuff out of context, try to use it to control people all the time. You can't put that on the book, right? Keep going, watch this.
For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience toward God endure grief suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if you be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently? But if, when you do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with God.
So he's not talking about trying to uphold slavery, right? What he's trying to tell you is you've done something. If everything, you've always made the right decisions, you always treated your people with respect, and people wrong you, they cheat you, they try to hurt you, they try to abuse you. He said, in that condition, now you have something from God. The Most High God will look at you and be like, that wasn't supposed to happen to you. I'm gonna take vengeance. But if your butt is cheating and lying and twisting facts and stealing and trying to get away with stuff, and then as a result you get fired, you can't go and be like, man, I don't know why this always happened to me. That's how a lot of kids are today. A lot of people are today. They do and cheat. They don't give it they all. They don't work hard. And then something happens. Dang, man, it never go right for me. Of course it ain't supposed to. You a darn liar. You ain't got no work ethic. So that's all he's saying. He's saying, listen, it's one thing when you deserve for things to happen to you. It's another when you do the right thing and somebody do you wrong. Look, you gotta still can stay consistently right in that, because the Most High God will have your back in that situation. Most High God ain't gonna have your back if you do something wrong, right? But it's not about upholding slavery, right? Our law wouldn't have it. Grab Exodus chapter 21 real quick. It's Exodus chapter 21. Give me verse 26. It's Exodus chapter 21, verse 26.
And if a man smite the eye of his servant, or the eye of his maid, that it perish, he shall let him go for his eye's sake.
Uh-huh.
And if he smite out his master, if he smite out his manservant's tooth, or his manservant's tooth, or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake.
Mm-hmm.
If an ox gore a man or a woman, that they die.
Yeah, so if what it's saying is, if a master, right, he strikes his servant to the point where his eye is permanently damaged or a tooth fall out, the master, according to our law, had to let that servant go free. Because he's saying you're not supposed to take it that far. You're not supposed to do nothing permanent to your servant. I don't care who you think you are. So our law wouldn't have supported the slavery that our people endured here. They used to cut off our limb. Forget an eye and a tooth. They would cut off our foot, right? They would get like put permanent damages to our legs and our hands. They would cut off some of our members, our private parts, right? These are things that they would do to us, and they would not let us go free. We wouldn't even be useful to them no more, and they would still keep us captives until we died, right? Our book does not support the slavery that we went through in this place. That's a lie that these people try to come up with because they don't understand the book and they don't understand righteousness. Give me 1 Peter chapter 3.
Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives.
Mm-hmm.
While they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and wearing of gold or putting on of apparel.
Right? He's like, you don't need to make the Most High God has told us 2 times already through the apostles. You don't need to make yourself feel beautiful through having braids, right? Cornrows in your hair, right? Or through wearing gold and jewelry and all that. He's saying that's not the way that you make yourself feel beautiful. Right? And we talked about it last week because in Isaiah chapter was it 2 or 3? I think it's Isaiah chapter 3. I think we ain't got to get it, but verse 18, it tells us that the Most High God is going to take away all the jingling things, and he's going to take away the good smell from our women. Right? He's going to take all those things. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to prepare us. How do you feel beautiful without? Because the Most High God can take it away. And if he take it away, if you put your identity behind I have cornrows, or I put my identity behind I got gold and I got earrings and I got nails and I got a nose job and I got, you know what I'm saying, all these my eyebrows are done, all these different things. If that's how we identify the beauty of our women, right? Then when you take all that stuff away, now you feel like you're worthless and that you're nothing. That's not how we want us to feel, right? We should be able to feel valuable and feel important and feel special and feel beautiful even without all the extra stuff. It's important for us. Keep going. Watch this.
But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price.
Mm-hmm.
For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in God adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters you are, as long as you do well and are not afraid with any amazement.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor to the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Finally, be of one mind, having compassion on one another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous, not rendering evil for evil, or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that you should inherit a blessing. For he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that speak no guile.
Mm-hmm.
Let him eschew evil and do good. Let him speak peace and ensue it. For the eyes of the master are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers. But the face of Yahuwah is against them that do evil.
Right? Know that. When your decisions are not aligned with the Most High God, when you sinning, the Most High God's face is against you. You should expect that. Don't confuse yourself. Don't get to lying to yourself like these Christians try to get you to do. Well, even though I was sinning, God was with me every step of the way. He never left my side. No, that's not what the book teaches you. The book teaches you that when you are walking against God, his face is against you. Leviticus chapter 26 tell you we walk contrary to him and he walked contrary to us. And he told us to confess that. He told us we had to admit that. That's the hardest thing for a lot of us to admit, that God is against us, that God wasn't rocking with us, that God wasn't there for us. That's what he's telling us to admit. But we so rebellious that we gonna say in our rebellion, when I'm sinning, when I'm lying, when I'm stealing, you know what? God is still by my side. No, God ain't a party to no foolishness that you're doing. Don't put that stuff on God. Admit it. I know it feel weird. I know it feel like nobody wants to admit they don't know God. But when you sin, you have to do that. You have to say, you know what? I thought I knew God. It felt like I knew God. I was praying. It felt like he was answering my prayers. But according to the book, I sinned and I acknowledge that I sinned, which means I never knew him and I never seen him. You think they've got y'all thinking that by admitting that you're admitting that you didn't believe, right? And then by admitting that you didn't believe, That admits that you're not saved. But they don't understand that that is the very thing that opens the door for you to have entrance into the kingdom. You have to admit that you were walking contrary to him in order to get in. There's no other way. You sinned. Once you can identify that you sinned, that's it. He wasn't a part of you. Once you acknowledge that you sinned, he was not a part of you. So now your only option is turn away from that sin so that he can be. Right? Keep going. What you got? Hold on.
So if you sin one and then you start doing it once again, will it already be a part of you again?
Well, you don't look at it as, is he a part of me right now? You look at it as am I going to stay righteous into the end? So if I sin today, right? So the question was, if I sin and then I start keeping the law and then I sin again, right? Will God be a part of me again? Right? And that's not the way we look at it. The way we got to look at it is, you know what? I'm serving God right now. I'm keeping the law right now. That means God is walking with me. Right? Then when you sin, you look at it and be like, oh, I lied. I thought God was walking with me. I thought I was doing the right thing, but really, I'm a hypocrite. I never knew God, and God was never walking with me. And then after that, you turn from that sin and you try it again. And you do that for the rest of your life. But you always acknowledge if you sin, that God was never with you. You was never walking with God. Because y'all have to understand, in this life, we don't have the consciousness to say whether or not God is with us. The only thing we have is our behavior. If we have good behavior, we have reason to believe that God is walking with us. If we ever sin, then we have reason to believe that everything that happened up until that sin was worthless. It's thrown away. I don't care how many good moments you have. I don't care how many times you read the Bible. I don't care how many special feelings you had. It doesn't matter. All of it worthless. And then you start over brand new. And then if you mess up again, then the whole thing was worthless. And then now you really starting over brand new. But that has to be your mindset. If you cannot endure into the end with righteousness, then you will not be saved. That is a fact. There's no other way around it. That's what the book teach you. That ain't me. Right? Keep going.
Did that answer your question, Eli?
Yeah.
You just got to keep going to the end. Okay.
The sister asked the question. She said, what's the scripture that what did she say? She said, what's the scripture that we admit we are a liar instead of saying we know God?
First John.
Yeah, first John is First John chapter what? 3. First John chapter 3 tell us that if we sin, we didn't see God or know God. I think it's First John chapter 3, maybe verse 6. Right? If we sin, we didn't know God. So it don't tell us to admit that. You know what I'm saying? Leviticus chapter 26, probably around the 39th verse, maybe 29th, somewhere in there. It'll tell us that we have to confess that we walk contrary to God and God walk contrary to us. But the two ideas are exactly the same. Right? The two ideas are exactly the same. Keep going. It's First Peter chapter 3, verse what?
13. And who is he that will harm you if ye be followers of that which is good? But and if ye suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye. And be not afraid of their terror, neither be thou troubled. But sanctify Yahuwah God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asks you of the reason of the hope that is within you, with meekness and fear, having a good conscience, that whereas they speak evil of you as evildoers, they may be ashamed that falsely accuse your good conversation in the Messiah. For it
When
is
they say conversation, it's talking about behavior. Conversation, we kind of think of that as like talking now, but in Old English, in the way that it's being used here, conversation was behavior. So in your good behavior is what he's saying. Keep going.
For it is better if the will of God be so that ye suffer for well doing than for evil doing.
Mm-hmm.
For the Messiah also has once offered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickeneth by the Spirit. By which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was preparing, wherein few, that is, 8 souls, were saved by water. The like figure whereunto even baptism does now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of good conscience toward God, by the resurrection of the Messiah, who is gone into heaven and is on the right hand of God, angels and authorities and powers being made subject unto him.
Right. So here Peter is telling us that the baptism is like a picture of what happened with Noah. So y'all remember Noah, Most High God told Noah to build a boat and invite animals onto the boat with him. And he got in total 8 people sat on the boat also. And those are the only people that survived. They're the only animals or people that survived that was on land. Right. So then after that, a big flood hit the earth. It was above the highest mountains and flooded the entire earth. And so then everything died. Right. Then everything was over and the water submerged the earth and killed all flesh. And so that's what the baptism is for us. When we get baptized, we are submerged underwater, and it's a signification that all flesh is killed. So now when we think of flesh, we think about human beings or animals or skin or meat and all that. That's flesh. So now spiritually, when we talk about flesh, we're talking about the desire to sin that's consistent with people who have meat and skin and eyeballs and tissue and all that, right? There's a desire, there's like an animalistic desire to preserve yourself and survive, even when it's unjust, right? Even when it's greed, right? And that is the piece that dies, right? So when we get dunked under the water, it signifies that our flesh is dead, and therefore the desires that come with the flesh have also died. Right? Grab Romans chapter 6. Remember, we read this in Romans chapter 6. This is Romans chapter 6. Give me verse 1. Paul explained it a little better than I can here. This is Romans chapter 6, verse 1. Right? When the baptism of the earth, which was with Noah, it killed all flesh except what was in the boat. Right? And the same thing happens with us, right? We are inside of the Messiah. When we get baptized, everything that's inside of the Messiah survives. The rest of the flesh dies. This is Romans chapter 6, verse 1. Watch this.
What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein?
Mm-hmm.
Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized unto the Messiah were baptized unto his death? Therefore we are buried with him by baptism into death, that like as the Messiah was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection.
Right? So the baptism represents death. Right? We are killing the flesh. We are basically saying the present body that we live in is no more. Right? We no longer care about this body. We more so care about the spirit. We more so care about what comes next. We're no longer living to please our bodies. Right? Which means that once we turn away from sin, we have to live the rest of our lives without sin. And when we talk about sin, we're being very specific. We're talking about sins against the Messiah, right? Which we can find Mark chapter 7, Ephesians chapter 6, chapter 5, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, Galatians chapter 5, Revelation chapter 22. Those give you all the sins that are against the Messiah. And if you turn from those sins and you live the rest of your life without committing those sins, then you can enter into the kingdom. Right? This is First Peter chapter 4. First Peter chapter 4, give me verse 1.
For as much as the Messiah has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he that has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin.
He's what?
Ceased from sin.
Right? If you've suffered in the flesh, you've stopped sin. In other words, if you've killed your flesh, there is no more sin. Right? That's end of it. A lot of people look at it as if, well, it's impossible to stop sinning. That's not true. And that's not what the Bible teaches. That's what these people teach because they don't believe in the power of God. Right? But that's not what the book teaches. The book teaches the absolute difference. Right? It says that you will not continue to sin. You will cease from sin. Right? Read it one more time so to make sure they, the Christians that might be still listening, make sure they get it.
For as much then as the Messiah has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he that has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin.
I'm going to show you why that makes sense. Give me back to Romans. It's Romans chapter 3. Give me verse 21. It's Romans chapter 3, verse 21. It's Romans chapter 3, verse 21. Right? We have to have a clear point in our life where we did not sin anymore. If you thought you reached that point, because sometimes you would think you reached that point. Sometimes you'd be like, you know what? I'm not sinning no more after that. What's today's day? It is August 8th. Was it 9th? August 9th, 2025. From this point forward, I will never sin again. Then August 30th come and you sin again. Like, dang it, I couldn't even make it out the month. Right? But guess what? You can't look at August 9th no more. August 9th ain't even a thing. You got to look at that and be like, man, I was a liar. On August 9th, when I said I wasn't going to sin again, I was a liar. I thought I knew God. Excuse me, I didn't know God. I sinned again on August 30th. But you know what? Now that is the last time. I'm not sinning again. And then from that point on, we have to try to hold on to it. And if we don't, then guess what? You got to call yourself a liar again and admit you never knew God again. But at some point, you got to draw the line in the sand and say, from this point, I'm never sinning again. And once you've done that, then the Most High God, you've now ceased from sin. And I'm going to show you how the Most High God going to handle that. This is Romans chapter 3, verse 21.
But now the righteousness of God without the law is manifest, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Yahushua the Messiah, unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God.
Right? Everybody has sinned, and we've all fallen short of the glory of the Most High God. Watch this.
Being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in the Messiah Yahushua, whom God has set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood.
For what?
To declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of God.
So it said remission of sins that are what?
Past.
So now picture this. I want y'all to picture a line. The line is your life, right? You start here and you end here. That's your life, right? What I'm telling you is at some point on this line, you got to say, I'm never sinning again. So imagine the line changes colors, right? It's a white line. Doesn't matter, a white line. And then the point in your life where you sin, that becomes red. So you 1 year old, 2 years old, it's still white, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You commit your first sin at 8. Now, from 1 to 8 is red. Right? And then 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, all red. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, all red. Then you get to 20 something, you say, you know what? I'm going to start living for the Most High God. All this stuff that my uncle and my dad taught me, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this is the last time I sin. So then you turn. And from that point on, for the rest of your life, your line turned back white. It's clean. Right? Now, the Most High God will forgive you for all sins that are what? So now he said, for everything behind you, I'll forgive it. So now what does that turn that red into?
White.
So now your whole line becomes white. But the condition is you have to stop sinning. He's not forgiving sins of the future. A lot of times you'll hear Christians say, oh, he forgave me for sins, my past, present, and future sins. Sometimes they'll say that in a prayer. God, forgive me for future sins. That's not the deal. The deal is if you stop at this point, I'll forgive everything behind you. But if you keep going, guess what? All of it is red. None of it is forgiven. It's only forgiven if you cease. And that's what we're talking about in First Peter chapter 4. Go back. This First Peter chapter 4, verse 2. Let's read it one more time. Right? It only qualifies you to have your sins forgiven. Nobody gets into the kingdom if they line has any red in it. If your line has any red in it, you can't get into the kingdom. Right? But if you stop and he forgives everything in the past, now you can get into the kingdom. He's not giving you no future sins. That's not happening. That's not a real thing.
For he that has suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin,
Uh-huh.
that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh of the lust of men, but to the will of God.
Okay.
For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lusts, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you.
Right? These people think it's strange. They're like, you serve God? You one of them Bible thumpers? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, nah, man, we ain't on that. I thought, man, you used to be out here with us. You were the worst one. That's how he used to talk to us. They don't really do that to us no more. But you know what I'm saying? You were the worst one. You were this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? They thought it was strange. They looked at it. It's strange. Y'all the ones that, and they think it's strange that you ain't out here with us no more. But that's what happened. That's part of it. It's encouraging when you start experiencing stuff and you look at it and say, dang, exactly what's in the Bible is happening in my life. The way people react to me, the way people, the different modes that people go. The only thing we got to do is put God first. We can't have relationships before God. I don't care how good of a friend you are to me. I don't care if you don't invite me to your birthday no more. You laughing, but we care about that stuff. We hold on to, we got this nostalgia, like, you know what I'm saying, man, that was my guy. That was my man. You know what I mean? People I can say that about? That used to be my man. And now, because of how I live, it's a lot of my old friends that don't even feel comfortable starting a real conversation with me. They don't know how to talk. They looking like, oh, I know he be on this. I don't even want to taint him. I don't want to bring nothing up to him. You know what I'm saying? So it's an uncomfortable conversation because they typical conversation ain't the typical conversation I'm having. I'm not even going to entertain it. And they know it. So then we stop talking. Right? So now that can make me feel like, man, I miss my man. I miss my guy. Man, we used to have good time. We used to have this. We used to do this. We used to do this. We used to do this. And sometimes that stuff can drag you back. That relationship can't be more important than God. Your relationship with your girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend or your mom or your sister or anybody, it cannot outweigh your kids. It can't overpower your relationship with the Most High God. And it's only one relationship. It's only one way. Christians talk about relationship with God all the time. The relationship with God is only defined one time in the book. He say, you are my friend if you do what I command you, period. So the only way to have a relationship with Yah is if you do what he commands. And in that relationship, in doing what he commands, nobody can come before him, period. And he's going to test it. And we have to pass the test. Like, you have to see the test. You got to see it hitting you and see it coming. And then you got to go extra hard. You got to be a teacher's pet. You know what I'm saying? You ever had a teacher, she come out and she said, okay, so who has to answer? It's something that she went over yesterday. She just went over it yesterday. Okay, let's do a review of yesterday. Who can tell me what we read yesterday? And then you got that one kid. Oh, me, choose me. And we be looking at her like, man, you so lame, bro. You know what I'm saying? You so corny. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how we got to be. We got to be corny with the Most High God. When we see the test coming, we got to jump up. Like, I see it coming. I know exactly what you're doing. Look, don't care about that person. Don't care about that person. I'm cutting that off. Nope, I'm about to do this. I don't care how hard it get. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. I'm going extra hard. I'm looking for extra credit to serve God. When stuff get rough, you got to lean right on into it. Because that's what we think that we sacrificing the people around us. That's what our minds, that's what Satan gets to telling us. Like, man, if I do all that, man, I'm going to lose this, or I'm going to lose this, or I'm going to lose this. In reality, God is testing us like, oh, you more worried about losing that than serving me. Nothing can come between us and God. Everything got to go. We get too attached to stuff and too, you know what I'm saying? No, God gonna come. Don't you know that God gonna send whatever we too attached to? If God love us, don't you know he gonna send something to attack that? Every single time. I'll be getting scared to get too attached to stuff. I be like, you know what I'm saying? God, I already know he gonna come for me. You know what I'm saying? If I love it too much, I already know he gonna come for me. And I gotta be ready to let it all go. Like, oh well. And I can speak for my life. I've been willing to let anything I love, anybody I love, I've been willing to let it go for the Most High God. And I never loved any of them more. Right? Because that's what the Most High God does. He tests and he bring it back. You saw he is about to make Abraham kill. Right? Kill his own son. You remember that? He about to kill his son, right? Abraham, what Abraham say? Yeah. He didn't he strap him down? He put the wood. He about to kill that boy and light him on fire. That was his only son. He just got rid of the other one. He got rid of the other one, and then he got one. And the Most High God saying, "This is your son. I'm gonna send the whole blessing. Has the blessing happened yet? No blessing happened yet." Most High God said, "Yeah, go ahead and kill him." Abraham looked like, "Man, I can't make sense of this thing." But guess what? Give me the knife. You know what I'm saying? Come on, boy, look going up there. No, don't worry about it. I like that man. He wrapped his arm around. Don't worry about it. God gonna provide the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Lay him down. No, lay it on down. The boy sitting there trembling like, but it's all right. Close your eye, boy. You know what I'm saying? Close your eye. You know what I'm saying? He about to do it. Most High God had to send the angel. Hey, hold on. Relax. It's gonna be all right now. Now I know. Now I know that you'll do everything I told you. Abraham looking like, hot darn tamale. I was about to off the kid. You know what I'm saying? You play hot darn tamale. And so that's what happens with us in everyday life. We look at these stories, but this stuff has to be real to you. Otherwise, you won't identify when the same thing is happening in your life. The Most High God is not going to tell you to pick up a knife and put it in your kid. You know why? Because it's too obvious now. He did that with Abraham. You've never seen him do that to anybody else. Right? So now when the attack come to you, it's going to be less obvious. It's going to be something that's a little more subtle. So when it hit you, you don't know what's happening. You have to pay attention and be like, okay, this is the equivalent of Abraham stabbing his son. This is the equivalent, right? Losing my job, losing my let's say I play sports, right? Losing my league, losing this, all this stuff. We have to be able to say, I'm gonna put the Most High God first, and then everything else comes second. We gotta put the kingdom first. We gotta put Yahushua first. Keep going.
Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead?
Uh-huh.
For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to the men of the flesh, in the flesh, but live according to God in the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover a multitude of sins.
Mm-hmm.
Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which God gives.
Look,
that God in all things may be glorified through Yahushua.
He said, listen, if anybody speaks, let them speak as the oracles of God. In other words, the word of God. So when we speak, we have to speak according to the word. I remember when I first started reading the Bible, and I'm talking about reading. I'm not talking about just like going to church or nothing like that. Me, by myself, I'm reading the Bible. But remember, I had been raised in the church. So I had all these ideas in my head that I assumed were in the Bible. But even when I read the Bible, I never really challenged all these ideas I had. So I read the Bible for myself about 2 or 3 times already. But I still had a whole bunch of Christian thoughts in my head about other stuff that I thought was in the Bible. And so it turned out when I call myself on fire for Christ, right? And I'm ready to give people advice, and I'm ready to quote the scripture to people and do all this stuff. And so it gets to a point where people are asking me stuff on Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, so you have to do this, that, and the other. And I remember on Facebook, a brother challenged me, and he was like, no, that's not in the Bible, bro. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to do this and this, that, and the other. So we got into this whole argument. And I'm looking, searching, like, where is this? No, I know I read it. I remember reading it. Didn't I read it? Couldn't find it nowhere. And it turns out what I thought I read in the Bible, I didn't read. I just heard from a pastor. Right? And so that started to happen to me more and more. But what I did is I said, you know what? I got a new rule. I think I spent like a year. I said for a whole year, I can't tell nobody nothing about the Bible without finding a specific verse that says what I'm trying to say. And if I can't find it, then I'm going to shut my darn mouth and I'm not going to say it. Everything I say about the Bible, I have to find a very specific verse that says exactly what I'm trying to say. Right? That's speaking according to the oracles of Yah. Right? When you can speak onto the oracle or speak according to the oracles, you're giving God glory. If I'm remixing and saying it according to the way I want to say it, and this, that, and other, well, that's bringing glory to me. When I'm saying it according to what Yah saying, and I'm not saying just like literally reading the scripture. I'm saying when the meaning of what I'm saying is the meaning that's in the book, that brings glory to the Most High God. And that's all we should. That's our job. Our job is not to bring glory. It's not to make me look good. It's not to make Brother T look good. Not to make any one of us look good. Our job is to make God look good, period. And the man is right. That's why we speak it. Look, it's easy to let the man be right. It's easy to speak according to his book. Because he got the pressure, not me. All I gotta do is say it exactly how I say. I ain't gotta come up with no fancy way. I ain't gotta try to convince nobody in no lies. I ain't gotta open no cult. I ain't gotta do none of this. All I gotta do is say it the way, and people can take it or leave it. We can have 100 subscribers or we can have 1,000,000. Either way, my job is the same. Right? My job is the same. All I have to do is speak it according to the word. Keep going.
In all things God giveth that God in all things may be glorified through the Messiah, to whom be praise and dominion forever. Amen. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as you are partakers of the Messiah's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceedingly joy. If ye be reproached for the same of the Messiah, happy are you, for the spirit of glory and of God rests upon you.
Mm-hmm.
On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on this behalf.
Right? So in other words, he's talking about what people call you. Right? So he said, man, don't let nobody accuse you of being a murderer or what was it?
Busybody or
Or a
evildoer.
busybody or an evildoer, right? So in other words, don't let nobody accuse you of sin. Right? If somebody is accusing you of sin, you defend yourself. No, I didn't do that. Don't accuse me of that. Right? And then he said, don't actually do the sin. Like if you suffer because you're a sinner, he said it ain't like don't come to us about that. They ain't got nothing to do with us. Right? But if you suffer as a Christian, don't be ashamed. So in other words, people would put it on people that they're a Christian. And Christian just mean a follower of the Messiah. Right? So they would call them that. That was their way of calling them a follower of the Messiah. But they would do it to undermine the Messiah. They didn't care nothing about the Messiah. They would do it to undermine the Messiah. And so he's saying, look, don't be ashamed for them to call you a follower of the Messiah in their language. They ain't got nothing, you know what I'm saying? They ain't nothing to be ashamed of. He said, but don't y'all sit here and turn into sinners because somebody is accusing you of sin. Right? Keep going.
Yet if any man suffer, but let him glorify God on this behalf. For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of God. And
It must begin where?
at the house of God.
Where did we learn about that first? Oh, we got. Grab Ezekiel chapter 9 real quick. Actually, finish that out real quick. He said, let judgment begin at the house of God.
And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of God?
Right? So he said, the judgment begins with those that are in the house of God. And he put himself in it. He said, if it begins at us, how you think it's going to play out for the people that disobey God? There's a message there. It's saying, listen, we who call ourselves obedient to the Most High God, right? The judgment will come to us first. And then after that, it's going to spread out to the rest of the world. So if that's the case, how you think it's going to end up with them? This is Ezekiel chapter 9, verse, let's start at verse 1. It's Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1. It's Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1.
He cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge of the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lies toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen.
This is a vision that Ezekiel is having, right? In this vision that Ezekiel is having, he's seeing what he's describing as men, but these are heavenly beings that the Most High God is calling out. Watch what they do.
And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. The glory of you and the glory of God.
Where's the brazen altar? Right? This is inside of our temple, the house of God. So remember, Peter just said, if it begins at the house of God, how you think it's going to end up for those that are disobedient? So this all is happening at the house of God. Watch this.
The glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was to the threshold of the house, and he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn. And Yahuwah said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite, and let not your eye spare, neither have pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary.
Right? So he says, start at my house and then go get everybody. Right? This is where Peter is getting this from. Right? Peter knows about Ezekiel prophesied. And so now he's teaching the people, look, this is how it's going to work. It's going to start at the house of Yah. And then it's going to spread out. And he asked the question, how you think it's going to end up for the people that's disobedient? Well, Ezekiel is telling us, you have to kill everybody who don't have the mark. The first thing that the Most High God is going to do is mark those who are obedient. He's expressing it here as people who are sad that you have hypocrites, sad that you have people that are disobeying the law, right? So he's taking those people and he marks them. Everybody else, whether you're young, whether you're a woman, whether you're a child, it doesn't matter. Everybody got to die, right? That's how it's going to turn out for the people. Any questions? I think we already answered all those. All right. Well, if you got questions, send them in to the text message that's on the screen. What's the phone number, Eli? 775 990 8565. We got to come up with a nice little jingle or something. 775 990 87. Was it? 8765. Oh, yeah, that's the boy there. That's the boy. You know what I'm saying? Get them together, TJ. You know what I'm saying? Get them together. All right. Sabbath peace. Yeah, or I guess it's after the Sabbath now, but peace. And we'll see y'all next week. So kids who haven't had a chance to know die. Kids who haven't had, well, yeah, everybody died. So everybody dies. So yes, in this situation, anybody who don't have a mark would die. Now in terms of who goes into the kingdom, only the people that sin go into the kingdom. So if a kid never sinned, then they would still qualify to go to the kingdom. But only the people that don't have sin go to the kingdom. So a person who repented and had they past sins wiped away and didn't sin again, they go to the kingdom. And a person who's never sinned because they a baby or they a kid, you know what I'm saying, they have an opportunity to go to the kingdom.